So, before I get into the topic of this video, I actually figured that I would tell you guys the story behind it first. Because this is the first time I have ever done this practice, and it sort of happened organically. I was actually pretty adverse to the idea. I have an itchy cat hair situation attacking my nose, always. I was actually pretty adverse to the idea, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think it was just sort of honestly a misjudgment on my part, which I'm human, it happens. But let's see, at the end of summer, I started to really focus on intent in my craft and how I felt like it was the foundation of my practice as a practicing pagan and as a witch. I even did a video on this where I really kind of discussed the power of intent, and this just continued to haunt me to the point where I felt like this was sort of the key to my deepening my practice, was really focusing on my intention behind everything and really focusing my intent when I'm doing anything magical, honestly, and anything not magical, and anything that kind of floats in between those borders. For say, example, stirring my coffee in the morning and putting intent in it. Often I do this. Sometimes I even do it and I don't realize I'm doing it, but I'll just be stirring my coffee and I'll kind of stare at it and I'll think, I'll feel energetic today. I will feel empowered today. I will feel like I can take on everything today. And that is putting intent into my coffee, basically, my morning coffee. And I'm gonna take a sip of my tea. The whole thought process about how wanting to bring more intention into my practice, specifically magical, but also more words, but also mundane. And it kind of helped me slow down, and it kind of helped me ground and have an awareness and kind of pull back and kind of pause the situation and get a good long look at everything before I reacted. I remember reading once, I came across this quote that had said, "I knew I matured when I realized that not every action needs a reaction." And that hit me hard. I realized how so many of us just react, and sometimes not everything needs a reaction. Sometimes we need to sit in stillness and see how a situation is going to play out. Sometimes we need to think about the intent that we have behind our actions, or maybe sometimes we need to look at others and wonder what the intent truly is behind their actions. And this can be in a sense of protecting ourselves, or it can be maybe just slowing down and trying to see a different perspective for a situation. And the more that I really started to focus on this word, the more that I started to realize the power behind it. And the more that I looked at the coming year thinking, I really want to focus on this. I really want to bring more intent into my magical practice. I really want to bring more intent into myself as a person and how I look at situations. I want to ask why more frequently. I want to analyze things more frequently instead of going with my visceral emotional reaction, because I am a rather emotionally ruled person. I am a highly sensitive person. I am astrologically speaking, I am a Cancerian moon. I tend to make decisions based on how I feel about something more so than the facts. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. So sometimes it kind of gets me into trouble. And sometimes I think that I would do well to slow down and think about the intent. So I never really thought that I would be working with a word of the year until it smacked me in the face. And it's always funny how this stuff seems to happen to me, where it's like, oh, guess that's happening now. That has been my thing with being a spiritual person and being a practicing pagan. A lot of the time, things will just suddenly smack me in the face. And it's just like, oh, all right, this is the direction we're going. Guess I'm along for the ride. Woohoo! So, sip of tea. Again, as I said earlier, there's that cat fur. My thought on the word of the year is I kind of had this misjudgment of it. I was like, this seems a little corny. I don't know. But then I was I was watching Jessica Starr's videos on it because I kind of started to think to myself, okay, I think I need to understand this a little bit better. And I think I need to have a more well-rounded perspective of it. So I thought, what could be better than watching Wonderful Jessica? And she did, she's done a handful of videos on the word of the year, but the one thing that she said that really struck me is that she mentioned that words are power. And us as practicing pagans, we know that very well, that words are power. And that right there was, I think, what I needed to hear the most. Then after that spiraled me into realizing what was happening to me and the fact that I had been, for the months leading up to 2020, already somehow organically fixating on my word of the year. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go for this. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to see what happens in 2020. If I have a active awareness of this word, then maybe I can have more focus on the representation that it has. So I decided to go with intention because I have been focusing so much on the power of intent, and I want to see where it leads me because I feel like I'm being led instead of just trying out this practice. I feel like I'm being pulled into it because there's a lesson, a big lesson that I need to learn. And coincidentally, my card of the year this year is the Wheel of Fortune. So we're going to see what happens. And if I'm still on YouTube in 2021, which I'm hoping at this point I will be, which back in 2010, if you had told me that I would be saying those words in 2020, I would have thought you were nuts. But provided everything goes well, I hope to maybe touch on this again in 2021. What did I learn with focusing on the word intention for the whole year of 2020? Did my craft change? Did I hope to reach the goals of enriching my craft more, magically speaking? Did I hope to slow down and focus on my intention and the intentions of others? Maybe that will bring me to looking at certain relationships in different lights. Maybe that will bring me to see certain people in different ways, or see myself or my own patterns in certain ways. And I see this as a open door, as a way to branch out, to experience new things, and to really kind of stretch myself in ways that I think I really need to be challenged. So, hi guys, guess I'm doing a word of the year.